11:05. So I do see two participants right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and get the show started. Again, I know this is kind of not going to come through, but if you guys cannot hear me, please let me know. I'll go ahead and throw that in the chat one more time before I get going. Let's see. Perfect. So yeah, today we are here to do a short webinar about citing sources using APA citation style. So I know it's a little bit later in the semester, so I assume you guys may or may not be at this point in your writing process. So today what we're going to go over, is going to be an introduction to APA citation style, a little bit of the Wilson Library Citation Help Research Guide. I'll go over this is maybe the bulk of the presentation, the APA Style Central Database, and then we'll do a little bit of work in some citation generators and managers that include the APA citation style. And then at the very end, we could sit and create some sample APA citations together if you guys would like. This PowerPoint was actually created for an in-person class, so that might be a little bit hard over webinar, but if at the very end that's something you guys would like to do, again, I only see 2 people right now, and I haven't heard much from you, so I hope you can hear me and that everything's good on your end. And we'll go ahead and get started. So what is APA citation style? So the APA citation style was created by the American Psychological Association, and it's used by them in their journals and other publications. I heard some beeping. Oh, someone left. Okay. So many colleges and universities adopted this style for student papers in a variety of different majors. So you could be a business student, a psychology student, sociology student. I know a bunch of different kind of subjects use it. It's good to use citation styles, and anything you write in college is going to need citations. And that's mainly because it gives due credit to authors' ideas that were not yours, and it allows the reader of your work to verify where you got your information from, as well as maybe have continued reading. So if there's something else that they would like to read up on, they can see where you've cited and then follow the article that way. So that's a little bit about what APA citation style is and why it's important. And so we have put together here at the Wilson Library a citation help research guide. And this is one of my favorite tools to show students when they come in and need help. We have created this guide to help you with any of your assignments that require APA format. And we have all sorts of links on it. So it's to help create a way for you to have a central point to come back to all your resources on APA. So they're all in one easy place for you. So I'm going to go ahead and demo that today. There is a link on this PowerPoint here. I can go ahead and share this PowerPoint with anybody who wants it. Maybe see if we can get it up on a website somewhere. Our wonderful librarian, Donna Bentley, was great enough to make this PowerPoint presentation for you guys, so I'm willing to share it. So you can either click on the link if you have the PowerPoint, but, excuse me. If you're actually just on our website, I'll show you how to get there from there just in case you don't have the PowerPoint. Under library.laverne.edu, our normal homepage here, under Research Help, you're going to go to Citing Sources. So that's going to take you to our Citation Help Home Guide. So you can see over here on the left-hand side, we have the different styles that you may encounter. Since we're doing APA today, I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then that's going to have all of your goodies right here in the middle. So the very top will be APA Style Central, which is a great database that has some integrated learning centers that can help you research. There's tutorials, there's sample papers. It'll also help you write your papers and format it that way. You can write, it's cloud-based, so it's almost like Google Drive. You can type directly into APA Style Central, and it'll help you format your papers, including title page, running head. You can make tables in it, which is really cool. Again, that'll probably be the bulk of our presentation today, is me demoing that for you guys. So we will come back to that one. And then we do have a link right here to our actual hard copy APA publication manual. So this is your little blue book that you may or may not be familiar with. But let's say you didn't purchase it, but you need to refer to it. We do have copies here in the library. We do have one at the permanent reserve desk, which means that it's available here, not necessarily to leave the library, but you can check it out for a couple hours at a time while it's here. And then we do have copies that do circulate. So we have 1, 2, and 3 copies that circulate. Notice the references, the use only. So you see there's a couple out, but there is one available. So if you did want to come and pick it up, you can check it out like it's a normal book, all that fun stuff. If you don't, sorry, I gotta move my boxes over here. If you don't see a copy available with us, but you really, really need to check one out, you can always click on Search Link Plus. And a lot of colleges will have it. So you can click on that to see if any says available here. And it looks like off the bat we see about 3 available. So if you were ready to request this item, you can go ahead and click Request this item and then have it sent to us. So if you're not familiar with Link Plus, click Request this item. Scroll down to University of Laverne. And then you're going to need to put your first and last name and then your university ID. So once you've done that, you can click Submit, and it will be here for you to pick up at the Wilson Library Circulation Desk, usually within about a week or so, and you'll receive an email when it's here for you to pick up. So that is if you need the hard copy in hand. We do have other links here to an APA-style blog, the American Psychological Association itself, linked right here, and then some quick guides here. So APA Style Central, I don't know why it's linked twice, but it is. So if you wanted to get there, you can get there from here too. We do have the Purdue University OWL right here, and I know you guys might hear that over and over, the Purdue OWL, and it's really a great writing website put together by Purdue University. So that is a link to the APA style hints. So here you can just kind of navigate it on the left-hand side. It'll let you know stuff about in-text citations, kind of basics, footnotes, endnotes, anything about the reference list, kind of stylistic tips. It'll show you a sample paper, which I know is very helpful for me. I always like samples. It'll show you about tables and figures. Let's go ahead and go on a sample paper just to see what that looks like. So it'll let you know it's all marked up. It has all the arrows and little reasons why they do what they do. So you can scroll through it that way, but you also have the option to download the APA style paper if you wanted to in PDF form and save it for later. So OWL Purdue is referenced a lot. Just quick and easy way to get some information. General formatting, just if you wanted to see what that looks like. It's going to give you how to do your title page, your major paper sections, what an abstract is. So that's a helpful one. Here we also have a sample paper that we have put together. So it's going to be right here. If you click on that, it's just a short 4-page little sample, but it shows you how to do the running heads, how to do the page numbers, your abstract, the actual paper itself, and then your reference page. So this is also downloadable as a PDF too. If you wanted to download it and save it, you could do that or print it out for a reference later. Also on this page, we do have commonly used examples in APA. So just a couple basics, like a basic format for a book. So it would show you author, comma, initials, publication year in parentheses, period, title of book, capitalized and subtitled and italicized, location, publisher. So it's kind of just the outline of how you do it here, and then it'll give you an example here. Also gives you a basic format for articles, how you would kind of format an article in a reference list. Basic format, and then it talks about stuff that have volumes, issues, from a library database, from a periodical, with a DUI, without a DUI. Oh, I said DUI. I meant with a DOI. Oh my gosh, that's a mistake. With a DOI, and then citing a work that's in a secondary source. So I do get this question a lot about secondary sources. So sometimes you might come across something where you're reading an article and an author is citing someone else's study. So you're not looking at the study itself, but someone else's citation of the study. So that can get a little bit confusing, but the way that works is you would actually give the secondary source in the reference list. So in the text, you would name the original work and give a citation for the secondary source. So since you are only looking at that secondary source, that is what you reference. So I mean, that may or may not have come up for you yet. It might come up later, but it does let you know how to cite a secondary source, which is helpful to know. So that is just the basic of our citation guide. Did anybody have any questions so far about that? Makes sense. Okay, cool, cool. If at any time anybody has a question, go ahead and feel free to type it in the chat box. It's probably the best way to catch my attention. I have it open on the side. So now that we've went over the basics of that, we also do have sample references in the Citation Help Research Guide. So what we went ahead and did is a sample list of popular citation styles, which I kind of showed you. And then we also have something called APA Style Central. So they're going to be renaming that in January, so pretty soon. So don't get discouraged if you don't see it. It will now be called Academic Writer. So basically, APA Style Central, or Academic Writer, is a database that we subscribe to through the Wilson Library, which, as I mentioned before, is cloud-based. So it helps you to write, research, and publish your APA style papers. And it was basically developed for academic institutions by the American Psychological Association. So it's something they designed to help you get your paper together, get it formatted, something to help you, have all your writing in one place, and have it cloud-based, which we all know is pretty important today, just in case you're working and let's say you lose power. Cloud-based stuff is pretty good for that kind of stuff. So there's a link here in this PowerPoint, but also if you are on the guide, it's at the very top, which I'll show you again. And there's actually 4 different independent centers within APA Style Central. And they're kind of necessary to be able to teach, learn, and apply the rules of APA. So it might be a little bit of an initial investment for you guys to learn it. They do have tutorials, like so many tutorials, which I'll show you. But once you get the hang of it, I think you'll find that it's really, really helpful. And there's, again, 4 different centers, so we'll go over 3 of them. We're not going to go over the published one today because obviously we're not there yet. We're not ready to publish a paper. But we will definitely be going over the Learn, Research, and Write centers. So in the Learn Center, you'll learn how to write with grace and precision. And there are things called quick guides, tutorials, and self-quizzes, which will help you learn. And then there's also sample papers, sample references, sample tables, and sample figures. So that way you'll be able to kind of get an example, a visual example of different ways that you can put together your APA paper, especially when you need help with like tables and figures. I know sometimes that can be a confusing part. So the Research Center, you actually learn how to learn by viewing tutorials, dictionaries, and reference books. So they do have planning and tracking tools there, and they also have a reference library if you're hooked up to, I think it's PsycInfo. We'll see when we get in there. But you can search a particular database for references, or you can import your references here if that's where you want to keep them. And then the Write Center, last but not least, is where you can actually use their template to begin writing your paper. So in that section too, there's also research tools, which I'll show you. And then you can kind of enjoy relaxing and knowing that as you're writing, it's also checking for APA style errors for you. So it's a good tool, like I said. And we'll go ahead and pull that up really quick. So APA Style Central is the first one right here on the Citation Help Guide. Since it is one of our databases that we subscribe to, you are going to have to put in your last name and ID number when you want to access it. So mine's already autofilled. So once you're there, you do actually have to create your own account in APA Style Central. So I've already done so. If you wanted to log in from the get-go, you could do that up here. We won't do that quite yet because I don't think I need to log in yet. But when you're ready, log in here. And then actually let me do that to see what it looks like. So if you don't have an account, so if you already do, you would sign in here, or you can create your account here, or it says create account here. So yeah, I might as well sign in since I'm here. Great, so now I'm signed in. Welcome, Karen, it knows it's me. So the first tab we're going to go over today is going to be the Learn tab. So this is basically the center where you have your guides, tutorials, self-quizzes if you're really ambitious, and then samples. So under the quick guides, you have the option to search, like if you're looking for a specific topic, maybe tables or something. It'll let you know. Okay, cool. Here's a quick guide on table components. The tutorials, you have the option to autoplay or just move forward for yourself. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it actually is a tutorial with sound, so it's basically just like watching a video. So that is the quick guides. Let's say you want to take out tables. Now you're back to the 66 quick guides. If you were maybe looking for tutorials, which might be a little bit more in depth than a quick guide, let's say data analysis. A little slow on the load. So similarly like the quick guides, it's going to be something that you can play and listen to and click through. Self-quizzes, I suppose that if you were wanting to test yourself on maybe plagiarism or ethics, you could do so here in the self-quizzes just to make sure that you have a thorough understanding of it before you start writing. I know that plagiarism, copyright stuff can be a little bit confusing. So if you had any questions about that, you can always take a self-quiz and see where you stand. It looks like this is all set up the same way. So under sample papers, it's going to give you options to browse through different examples. Let's say we want to look at this one. You can either look at the title page, or when you click the page to access the PDF, it should open up in a new window. Great. So this is going to give you an example of another APA style paper that a student has written. Kind of exactly like the one we have on our page. I mean, I know there's so many examples, but again, for me, I appreciate samples because I can kind of see something and repeat it. I don't know, it just makes it easier for me. So we also have sample references, and this is pretty neat because it's going to have a lot of different kind of situations. So here it's got about 152 samples you can look at, and you're like, okay, this is way too many. Let's say I have a podcast. Cool. So it's got choices of an audio podcast, a transcription of a podcast, or a video podcast. So let's say you have a citation from an audio podcast. Great. So it's going to let you know how you can do that in a list. Probably copy and paste it if you wanted to. It might lose a little bit of like the indent or some of the actual formatting, so you might not want to. Just maybe as an example. But sample references is a great place to look because, again, there's just so many different options, and I know people get information from so many different sources. So this has about 152 different kinds of citations for APA style. Sample tables is going to be where you're going to look to see a couple of different examples of tables that you can use in APA style papers. Let's say you want to look at a sample means table. I'm going to let you know. And then likewise, sample figure is going to be something similar. Sample line graph. Great. So that is basically our Learn Center. Did you guys, oh yeah, here it tells you the difference. The quick guides are only 2 to 5 minutes, and then the tutorials are a bit longer. They're about 10 to 30 minutes, so that's going to be a little bit more in depth. So if you're looking for something super quick, boom, quick guides. Something a little bit longer, tutorials. So did you guys have any questions about anything so far on the Learn tab? Wonderful. So the Research Center tab is going to be next. And here they do have some reference books that you can look through. Let's say you wanted to look through the APA Handbook of Research Methods. Go ahead and give it a click. And then it'll let you go chapter by chapter and read it here in the pane. And if you do end up using it in your paper, you can go ahead and add it to your references. Perfect. Also under research, they do have Discover Research tools, and this is something that you can actually access when you're in the writing section. So each paper in the writing center has its set of these research tools. So I'll show you that when we get in there. That's going to be next. But also just quickly before we dip over there, the Manage References is also here in the research. So you have the option if you're ready to add references, you can do that, or if you just want to see the references that you have already, that's the one I just added. So it looks like this is an older one that I have, and then there's that. When you are ready to add references, you do have the option to search, it hooks up to Info. So you can actually search that particular database. Let's say you know for a fact that you got your article from Info. So let's say it's about stress or something. You would type in your whole title. Obviously, I just typed in a word, but let's say this is going to be your one that you're looking for. Add to your references. And then now you have your 3. So this is just a way to organize your references. If it's not in Info, you also have the option to import them. You can import them as RIS files, which most of the databases will convert them for you. I'm not going to take the time to do that today just because it might take a little bit of time. But if you wanted help with doing that, you can definitely pop in and we can help you with it. This is just one place to add your actual references. If you do use APA Style Central, it would be great to keep all your stuff in one place, but I understand a lot of people don't necessarily want to use APA Style Central, so if that's not the case, I will have Zotero to show you guys quickly after, which is just another citation generator and organizer, and it's completely free too, so that might be a little bit more to your taste, but I'll show you that as well. So there is more than one way to do this. So back in research, that's going to be your tab. So that is where you go if you want to look at handbooks, dictionaries, or manage your references. So now the best part is the Write. So under the Write tab, you will have the option to either start a new paper or work on a saved paper. So today I'll just show you guys super quickly an example of one of my sample papers. It doesn't say much. It's kind of silly, but I just, do it to play with it. Great. So over here on the left, the kind of research tools that I mentioned earlier on the research tab will be right here under Research Lab Book. So if you ever get stuck, or maybe like if you're just starting out on the paper and you want to develop your research idea, you can start with that. So it'll go ahead and give you some questions. It'll help you generate ideas, identify your topic, develop a question, kind of elaborate on it, describe what you expect, and a way to kind of export your notes so you have that for later. So if you're just starting from scratch and you're like, oh my God, I don't even know what to do, this might be a good way to kind of start. So that's that. Let's pretend that we do know though. So under title page, we're ready to go. It's going to give you different options. So you'd add your title, your running head, your date, your professor, your course number, your course name. And then since I've already put it all in, once you hit preview, you can see what that's going to look like. Yay, so I did the running head, as it should. There's going to be your page number in the upper right. There's going to be your title, your name, your school, the class, the date, and all that good stuff. So preview is going to actually show the entire paper. So as you can see, it does the cool thing where it sets up your running head. Perfect. Page numbers. I'll show you how I did all this stuff in a second. And then it's going to have your reference page. So back to the edit. Under body would be where you actually start typing the body of your paper. So you can add your abstract, which I did here. And then whenever you're ready to add a new section, you can just do it like that. And then let's say you want to switch stuff around. You do have the option to do it over here. Well, it's kind of fun. So you would just that is how you do that. When you get to a point where, let's say you have a table and you're ready to do that, they do have a place where you can actually make tables. So under tables, you can add a new table. You can either import it from Word if you've already made it in a Word document, or if you haven't, it does give you the option to do that here. And then you would just choose the size. Then add a citation if you needed to, general note, specific note, probability stuff. We'll say that. Your own note if it's not above. Go ahead and hit save. So I think this is the other one I did. And then when you are in your actual body of your paper, let's see, and you want to add another table, it's called call out tables. And the same goes for figures too if you ever make them. You would call out tables. And then here's the example we just made. And it's going to ask this question. We'll say this. Just making sure that it did that right. Of course, it would not on a webinar, right? So let's see. Why did that not come through? You know, it might have been the way that I put it in. Let's redo that. Let's try that again. So we'll try to call out that table again. And maybe it was because I chose the narrative option. So let's try that and see if that helps. And then you'll see that throughout, kind of in like Google Docs, it'll save it like intermittently. That is great. I love that it's not pulling through. Anyway, I did it earlier, and the example here shows you that it will pull through your tables. I don't know why it's not doing it now. I could take some time to, figure it out, but I don't want to waste your time too much. Anyhow, you are able to insert tables like that, right? Maybe you have to do embed in table, embed in paper. Let's try that. Maybe that's the magic I missed. Oh, that must have been it. See, I called it out first, and then I had to embed it. There we go. Okay, see, we learned something together today. Yeah, so the writing function is going to allow you to do your title page, your body, your tables, your figures, your references, all that wonderful stuff. So yeah, that's a great way to do it. And then when you're all ready, you do export, and then you have the option to either email your paper to yourself or download it. So say I want to do it in a Word. I don't think I want to do a PDF, but you do have a PDF option if you're ready. And there you go. And yeah, it's a horrible typer. Yeah, there's nothing in it. But it looks great. It's got all your little indents. It's got your running heads. It's got your tables and your reference list. So when you're done, you're done. So that's APA Style Central in a nutshell. We do have like tutorials obviously within it for you to use. I know that was a really, really kind of quick breeze over just because, we only have a little like an hour today. So that is going to be APA Style Central. Did anyone have any questions about that? No, we're looking good. Okay, great. So one more thing I'm going to point out before I move on to showing you citation managers like Zotero is going to be another function of our citation help page, and that's over here on the left where it says references and in-text citation examples. Go ahead and click on that, and it's going to take you to another generator. So this is what we got from Baker College's APA guide, and it's a little bit similar to APA Style Central, where you choose your the conditions of your citation, and then it'll generate something for you. What this does that APA Style Central doesn't do is also gives you an in-text example. So let's say you have a website, and let's say you don't know the author or the date. This is going to give you an example of how to do a citation in your reference list, which would be here. And then it's also going to show you in text. So you have the paraphrase option, and then you have the quotation option. The difference between paraphrase and quotation in APA is mainly that when you're paraphrasing, you're not putting a page or paragraph number. When you're taking a direct quotation, meaning you're saying exactly what they're saying, you make sure that it is in quotes, and then you would also add a page or paragraph or section. So sometimes when you're working with online or web documents, there's no page number, which can be confusing, but in that point, you can either put section if it's in sections or paragraph if it's just a short couple paragraphs. Like obviously if it's humongous, you're not going to count 47 paragraphs down, but it would either be section or paragraph. So let's do another example really quick, maybe with articles that might show you, let's say 2 authors. So here you have the reference list example. And then you have the in-text example. So again, here's paraphrase, and usually it's going to just be the name and the date, and then the quotation, you can see since it's a direct quote, adds the page number at the end. So this is really great, again, too, kind of how APA Style Central has all these weird kind of kooky conditions, because you're like, oh, wow, I have a tweet. How do you APA style quote a tweet? Like this. So the reference list would be the Twitter handle, year, month, day, enter the tweet message here, Twitter post, retrieve from here. So in text would be Twitter handle, comma, year. So it's kind of nice if you just really want a quick kind of how do I do this. Of course, it doesn't have everything on it, but you know, we tried to put a good amount of stuff that you might actually get references from. One thing I guess, oopsie, my bad. Let's go back to Citing Sources. One thing I want to point out, and just since you guys are all doing APA anyway, under articles, the tricky thing, and I know it gets weird, is if you have a lot of authors. So let's say you have an article with like 5 authors, and you're like, oh my God, do I have to do this every time? So if you are in the 3 to 7 gauge, what you would do is you would do the authors in the reference list, and then in your in-text citations, you would put all the authors the first time. And then for subsequent citations, you would just do the first author and then et al. So this is just to kind of help, because if you had 6 authors, obviously you wouldn't want to be doing 6 authors every time you quoted. So this is just a little trick I wanted to point out, just because you might come across it, because I know that sometimes a lot of people co-author articles. But yeah, 3 to 7 authors is going to be special in that way. If you have 8 or more, that gets even more interesting, because in the actual reference list, you do all the authors. And then the in-text from the get-go is just the et al. So if you ever run across that, this is just a good refresher. It also shows you print versions of articles, articles that have the DOI, and then stuff like maybe if you come across a magazine or a newspaper, which might be just a little bit different. So yeah, this is another great example of places you can go to find help with that. So that has been APA Style Central. The next thing I wanted to talk about would be Citation Managers. So this is just another way for you to keep all your citations organized. Zotero and RefWorks are 2 that we've worked with in the library in the past. They help you preserve and manage your citations, and they allow you to automatically create APA-style citations for your reference list, which if you guys are doctoral students, master's students, you're going to get to that phase in your career where you have pages and pages and pages of references. So it's kind of good to know about these things now, because if you start organizing them now, that way, you know, you'll have your reference list of 100 plus references done in like 30 seconds. And that's really going to be so great when you're done with your paper and you're done with life and you're like, I'm so over it. But you won't have to spend hours typing your citations out one by one, which is the good news. So we did used to have something called BrefWorks, which we are actually migrating away from. So I am not going to go over that too much today. If you did want to go over it yourself and you want the PowerPoint, there is a link to it right here. We do have a guide for it, and we also have a guide for Zotero. And Zotero is what we're using to kind of replace BrefWorks. I don't want to say replace, we'll just say use instead of BrefWorks. So let's go ahead and give that a click, and we'll take you to the research guide and kind of do a couple examples of it just before we go. It's going to take a while. Oh, because it's opening in Internet Explorer, that's why. Okay, great. So under Citation Help also, it'll be over here on the left. But Zotero is a citation management tool, and it gets built into your web browser, and you can collect, organize, and share your citations. So Zotero is something that you do actually download. So kind of let me show you what that looks like. So many tabs open all the time. So when you have it on your desktop, it's going to look like this. It's a little icon that says Zotero. You can go ahead and click on it to open it if you like. Before you start importing references, you want to make sure that it is open. And you do have an option to share it across browsers. So let's say you're doing work in different places. You can hook up your different computers to your same Zotero. So I just have kind of a sample folder. You can create new folders if you wanted to, like paper 1, paper 2, import your references that way. We'll work off of Soch 330. So now I'm in my Zotero. I'm going to go ahead and add some more before I show you how to make your actual reference list. So Zotero also has something called Zotero Bib, and Zotero Bib is kind of just like the light version of that. So if you just can't or don't want to install the software for Zotero, you can use Zotero Bib, and that'll allow you to just create one standalone bibliography, and you can paste that into a document. So unfortunately, that's not going to save, anything that you've done, but if you just want, a one-shot, easy to use. So it does pain me to use Internet Explorer, but since we're here, we'll stay here. A lot of times, Internet Explorer, I don't know if you guys know, this is kind of becoming very, very outdated. So a lot of things aren't really supported on Internet Explorer anymore. So it might be easier for me to just, see how fast it opened up. So I'm going to click over. Just as a tip, I don't know why this defaulted into that, but it did. So Zotero Bib, if you're ready to go, and let's say you're like, okay, I just have one citation I need to do. Let's do stressors. Again, this is just not a real article. I'm just typing in some stuff. So let's say this is the one that we wanted to do. So it is going to give you an option here. I had it under ASA, but let's say you want APA. The option is going to be here. Convert, you'll need to manually edit. So it will give you any conditions, because these citation generators are really great. They're not 100% accurate all the time. There might be some conditions, again, where it has capitalizations where it shouldn't. Zotero Bib is really great at telling you when that happens. So it says, okay, I'll edit them. Make sure that you read that. And then this is an old one, so we'll get rid of that. Let's add another one. Okay, so you have two. Cats and happiness. And we'll just take this one. Climate and happiness. So now you have your two. And when you're ready, let's say you did an actual quotation. I copy the citation. Cool. Well, actually, I want to do both of them. So you can save it to Zotero, copy HTML, download RTF. We just want to copy the clipboard. Ta-da! So now in Zotero Bib, you have your two. So again, Zotero Bib, easy peasy. It's 1, 2. You just don't have to save anything. So this is just really, really good if you have 1 or 2 you need to do. If not, I'd recommend actually using Zotero itself because, again, it's going to have all your stuff in one place. It's going to keep all your citations. If you forget one, you can always refer back to it. It will have a browser extension, which it might take a bit too long to upload, but you can see I already have it. So it'll connect whatever you're trying to do that way. Gives you the information here. And then it shows you how to create a bibliography. There's also tutorials here. And then we do offer help with it. You can go ahead and call us, chat with us, drop in. And then also links to our citation help guide again. If you'd like, I can just show you a really, 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 really quick demo of that. I do use EBSCOhost and ProQuest a lot. I assume those are maybe databases you guys might be a little bit familiar with. So they're one of our more popular ones. I'll go ahead and do a search in EBSCO really quick and show you how exporting a reference into Zotero works. We'll just do one. And we'll just do stress. I'm just using the word stress because it's almost 24/7 period. It's almost finals. And I know everybody's stressing out. So let's do this one. Let's say this is an article that you're using and you want to export the reference. So over here on this side, I'm sorry, I got to move some boxes. You'd click on export. And then right here where it says direct export in RIS, it shows you the different functions Zotero. So just remember Zotero. When you see that, be like, oh yay, Zotero, cool. Save. And so remember this is called pipeline stress. Go ahead and click save. And then since your Zotero is up and connected, just click OK. Saving it to SOCH 330. And then there it is. It's automatically going to populate in here. And it does give you options over here. You're able to add your own notes for each. You can tag it. You can add tags, like if you just want to do subject tags on particular subjects and keep them together. And you can also add related articles. So it's pretty neat, right? It doesn't, I think that sometimes it might have the PDF version, not all the time. So just keep in mind that you might have to go back into our databases to get the full text, but this is going to give you all your information here. So let's say, yeah, at the end of your paper, you have like 50 sources in here. I only have 3, but let's pretend. So you would click on all of them, or what I usually do is I click on the first one, shift, and then click on the last one, so it's going to highlight all of them. And then if you go ahead and click your right click, and then create bibliography from items, you get to click your style here, which is APA, language English, bibliography, or if you just wanted normal citations, but I would do bibliography. You have the option to save it as RTF, which is rich text. I don't know, people don't use that much anymore. You can save it as HTML, copy it to your clipboard, or print. So for the sake of this, I usually just copy to my clipboard, click OK, and then paste. And then there you go. So that is going to be your Zotero citation generator. And with this, it doesn't have the option to, write your paper and format your actual paper like APA Style Central does. But, it does give you the option to have all of your citations for different subjects in one place and just kind of a way to organize it and tag it and make notes on it and come back to it when you're ready to do your bibliography. Another cool thing, and I don't want to get too far into it, I can probably go on forever, is Zotero actually has a Word extension as well. So when you download it, it's going to add an extension to your Word. So as you're typing, you want to add a citation. It's being very slow. There we go. Add a citation. Things always misbehave when you're trying to demonstrate them, right? Come on. Anyhow, usually when you click that, and I don't know why it's not cooperating, usually when you click that, a little box is going to pop up, and you would type in the article name, like I would just put stress and it would pop up, and then it would let me insert. I'm going to get out and back in again because I would like to show you that a lot. I'm wondering if my boxes are hiding it. I don't think so. Wow, I'm really bummed out about that, you guys. Anyway, not cooperating today, but it does have an extension that usually works to insert actual in-text citations for you. So if you're not an expert already, at the end of this little webinar, you can use that. And hopefully for you it'll work, especially if you're showing it in front of other people. So I'm almost at the end of my little presentation today. Did you guys have any questions at all about anything that I've gone over? And again, if you do want a copy of this PowerPoint, it's going to show you a bunch of different links to a bunch of different places. Instead of Zotero Bib, there's also something called Noodle Tools you can use. We have another APA citation maker here. So there's so many tools out there for you guys to use. Again, it's just a matter of why we make that guide, just to put them all in one place for you so you're not overwhelmed. You're not like, oh, what are the best ones to use? So hopefully the ones I showed you today are helpful. Again, Zotero, hopefully the word extension works for you. But they're all just kind of made to make your guys' life a little bit easier. So hopefully I have done that today. If you have, again, any questions whatsoever, any questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask. We're here to help you in the chat, in the email. You can give us a call. We are going to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, starting tomorrow, which is December 2nd. So we'll be open from 12 noon tomorrow until the 15th at 5 p.m. So again, I hope this is helpful for you guys. I don't know if anybody needs me to email a professor for participation. I'd be more than happy to. At this moment, I only see one participant. So Carol, if you'd like me to email your professor, please put your email address in the chat box and I'll let them know you're here. And other than that, I would just like to thank you guys for joining me for the APA webinar. Again, thank you for your attention. Have a good weekend. Bye.